906 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. When I decided to do radio in Nashville after doing music radio for a few years, I was like, man, I'm going to miss breaking records. You know, like doing conservative news talk, you don't get to break records. Yet here I am in Nashville with, I think, is going to be a mega star in the country scene, Mary Cutter, and we get to break a record today in Nashville.
Here we go, baby. Thanks for having me.
And we are so excited to have you. So Mary Cutter is in studio. Who are you, Mary? What do you do?
Well, I'm a songwriter. I was born and raised in Kentucky. I'm here in Nashville now, and I'm sitting in Chris Hand's studio.
That's unbelievable. So you write all this music, and that's kind of how you got your start.
Yep.
And that has led you down the road to creating a song that I think is an absolute masterpiece.
That means so much to me. And I was so excited, Chris. I know I was telling you off air, but I'll tell you again so your audience hears it. Chris was literally one of the first people to reach out to me on Instagram after I'd posted the song.
Yep.
And I wrote this song, The Devil Wore a Lab Coat, and it's a very personal song to me. It talks about, honestly, just the effects of big pharma in small towns across America. And I wasn't sure how folks were going to respond to the song whenever I posted it. But one of the first people who responded was Chris. And your message meant so much to me. And it's so great to meet you in person.
Yeah, likewise. It resonated with me. Like, I know the song's about, it really focuses on Kentucky, but I grew up in Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. And I remember very vividly in high school when, there were some friends who started taking OxyContins and then Vicodins. And it's like, what are you doing? And then they graduate to heroin. And now a lot of my friends that I grew up with are dead.
Wow.
That's just the reality of the situation. And like, by the grace of God, I didn't make the same decisions they did. But, that's a different story for a different day. But I heard your song and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so the new American story that you're telling. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, wow. And I wanted to hear more. I mean, I think the original clip that you put out on Twitter was 40 seconds, 40 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, a verse and a chorus.
And it got 10 million views.
My gosh.
What was that? What's that like for you when because you've been putting out music for a while, but that one just rocketed up in views. What's that like? Do you kind of get a little bit of an excitement? Or are you like, how did this happen? How do I duplicate this? Where does your mind go when that happens?
That's such a good question. Well, every day I do, write songs here in Nashville, and every day I post a little clip of whatever we wrote. Usually it's like a week before, a couple days earlier on social media. Just like The Devil Wore a Lab Coat, we had just written it a couple days before. Literally that recording that you had heard was from the writer's room. And so I never know how people are going to respond. Now, folks always give their opinion, whether it's good or not. They let you know. But I just, I film it real quick on the phone and I post it, and to be totally real with you, I put the phone away. And I look normally the next day because you can kind of tell, what's popping, or if it's going to, just float in the water, But it was an exciting situation seeing how folks resonate with it. It kind of broke my heart, though, how, from my experience, I was writing about Kentucky, where I'm from, and seeing all that, I did not realize the depth of how it's just totally wrecked our country.
Oh, it's everywhere.
And I did, a little bit of reading after, seeing all these comments like, oh, this happened in Idaho. This happened in Virginia. This happened. I mean, it was just all these different places.
Massachusetts, yes.
And so I started, digging in more, because whenever I wrote the song, it wasn't like a list of facts that rhyme. It was just a place from the heart, right? And the numbers are just astounding. I'm sure you know even more about it than I do, but it's kind of insane.
I'm such a big fan. I got so excited to hop in the car this morning, and I opened up the streaming platform. I'm like, I'm listening to this whole thing, finally. And I was downright giddy. So without further ado, I would like to be the first radio station in Nashville to play
anywhere.
The Devil Wore a Lab Coat. This is the first time on radio in America. Yep. That's pretty cool.
It's so cool. I'm so excited.
It's cool for me, too, just so you know. Like, I think this is pretty cool. So I know the audience is going to dig this. This is Mary Cutter, The Devil Wore a Lab Coat.
Oh, that's awesome, Chris. That really is crazy. First color. Honestly.
It was
was, hey doc, there's a thing in my knee. Been working underground since '83. Doctor said I got you the remedy. It'll kill that pain real quick, trust me. Didn't take long, half the town was on it. Didn't ask questions, no, we just popped them. Doctors getting fat from ranking in kickbacks. It all happened so fast. One man's grave is another man's paycheck. Our ex-meds at our expense. Forget the coal mines, they hit a gold mine. Hooked us on 6 feet of side effects. Like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothes. The devil wore a lab coat. Appalachian map dots were the perfect bullseye for the farmer reps chasing dollar signs. All their billions couldn't buy a decent alibi. You could say what you want, but tombstones don't lie. Strong towns tore down by little pills. So with a smile, don't care when it kills. No coincidence, no conspiracy. It just is what it is. It's our history. One man's grave is another man's paycheck. Our ex-meds at our expense. Forget the coal mines, they hit a gold mine. Hooked us on 6 feet of side effects. Like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothes. The devil wore a lab coat. The devil wore a lab coat. Only God can judge, but they're corrupt and they don't care. We tell them to go to hell, but they're already going there. Yeah, they're already going there. One man's grave is another man's paycheck. Our ex-meds at our expense. Forget the coal mines, they hit a gold mine. Hooked us on 6 feet of side effects. Like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothes. The devil wore a lab coat. The devil wore a lab coat. One man's grave is another man's paycheck.
That is the debut of The Devil Wore a Lab Coat, Mary Cutter on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Mary, for letting me break this record in Nashville. I am so grateful for you to come in here and let us play that today. That song is unbelievable.
Man, thank you so much. And it means so much to me that, you're breaking it, baby.
Let's go. That's what we're
We
doing.
ain't messing around.
When did you write the song?
I wrote the song. What is today? May 16th. We wrote it at the very end of February. I want to say it was like the 28th. I think it might have been the last day of the month.
Really?
So it hasn't been sitting very long. And then, of course, I posted it and then it, did its thing.
That's
And now
unbelievable.
here we are.
So is it kind of been like a whirlwind?
It has been. Yes, 100%. I wasn't sure, like I said earlier, how folks were going to respond to it because, it is a kind of a, you walk into the writing room and you're like, hey, guys, I want to write a song about big pharma and how it wrecked communities across Kentucky, and let's make it a banger.
Well, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people who just get nervous just based on the subject matter.
100%. And I will be real with you. I had brought in the idea to multiple writing rooms. Like I said, every day I'm writing in the room with normally a producer and another writer. So there's 3 of us. That's, you know the music industry, how it kind of works.
Yep.
And I probably brought it into a handful of maybe 4 or 5 different sessions, but they're like, what else you got? Which is fine. It's got to be in your heart to write it. But you never know how folks are going to respond, especially it's kind of a touchy situation. And this is the thing. When we wrote this song, we did not want to necessarily point fingers and do the blame game, but we definitely wanted to just shed light on, it's a dark truth.
Yep.
And, years later, we're still trying to rebuild from it.
Yep. It's an absolute mess.
Yes.
I love the song, and
Thank you.
I think it's an absolute smash. When you're writing this music, do you know that you have a hit on your hands? Like at what point in the writing process do you go, oh, I think this is a banger?
Well, I will be real with you. I'm a true creative where I get excited in almost every song. Okay. But I will say that there's certain points of whenever you're writing a song where I remember when I wrote Devil's Money, which maybe we'll be playing in a little piece, I remember thinking, oh, wow, this feels really special. And I remember when we got to the chorus of Devil Wore a Lab Coat, one man's grave is another man's paycheck. I was like, ooh, that just feels, it's either too far or it's exactly where it needs to be.
I thought it was so on point. And then the other line that you have, hooked us on 6 feet of side effects. I was like, oh my gosh. Just again, as a guy who has friends that have died because of this opioid epidemic, I was like, it just hits so close to home. So I start going down the rabbit hole of your music and I'm like, wow, this isn't a one-off. You have a ton of hits.
That means a lot to me, especially coming from you, because you hear a lot of music, Sugar.
But there's a thing, Big Sean. I love Big Sean, and I love hip hop.
Naturally, yes.
So Big Sean had a line in one of his records where he's like, "Yeah, I guess I'm an overnight success. It took me 10 years to become an overnight success."
Gosh,
so
I love that.
As I start digging through your catalog, I'm like, "Wow, she's been at this a while."
Yep.
And now you have major labels chasing you down, and I wonder where your head's at. Because you've made it this far independent. Mm. Is there a pull to stay independent, or is there the pull to go majors?
I've been really blessed. That's a great question. I've been really blessed. Whenever I moved to town, I started writing for different artists, and I became friends with them. And different artists take different paths. I know one of my artist buddies I'm very close to is Nate Smith. He, of course, signed his record deal, has had multiple number ones. Another buddy of mine was Cooper Allen, who he still is independent. He's building his team, but he chose to stay independent, not sign a traditional label deal, and he's selling out theaters right now. I mean, there's more than one way to slice an onion, that's for sure. Yep. It is really exciting, though. It's just like co-writing where, I could have written this song by myself, but it would not have been the same song at all. The co-writers definitely help elevate, and I think it's that way with, bringing in team members. It's just like with your radio show, you're doing the yak and you're doing so much of the planning, so many of the pieces, but also your producer brings so much magic. This beautiful studio that we're sitting in, there's all the different pieces that come together, and I feel like that's, kind of how, building a team works in my noggin, but I have seen it work both ways, and it's really exciting, though. Yeah. But I guess, really, to answer your question, though, it's bringing the right chefs into the kitchen.
Yep. Well, it seems like you've been doing that. Again, as I'm digging through your catalog and I'm seeing all these different records, Devil's Money stood out to me as just an absolute smash. And I think everybody listening needs to have Mary Cutter on their Memorial Day playlist. Like, it's an absolute necessity. So Devil's Money is about your great-grandfather who was a bootlegger.
Yep.
And he used that money to build a church.
You were spot on, honey. You do your research. That's 100% how it's about.
You say I do my research. All I did was listen to the song because you are such an amazing storyteller. So I want to play that real quick. This is Mary Cutter's record called Devil's Money. This came out in November of 2024. So this is still relatively brand new as well. This is Devil's Money.
Great-granddaddy was a deacon, but he struggled breaking even till he started running bottles out the Bible Belt. Some called him a sinner, only knew him for his sins. Some called him a saint because they knew where that cash went. They say you can buy salvation, that ain't how it works. But if you ask that congregation Sunday morning in the brand new church, bless the man with the still in the holler, turning corn into shine into dollars and holy water, flowing like milk and honey. still in the holler, turning corn into shine, shine into dollars and holy water, flowing like milk and honey. Build that Lord's house with the devil's money. Did he let his little light shine? Let a little shine light the way. Is he walking on streets of gold? Or was there hell to pay? You can buy salvation. That ain't how it works. But if you ask that congregation Sunday morning in the brand new church, they say, bless the man with the steel in the holler, turning corn into shine, shine into dollars and holy water, flowing like milk and honey. Build that Lord's house with the devil's money.
So that was Mary Cutter, Devil's Money, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That song is just another absolute smash. I felt like the more I went through your catalog, the more I'm like, gosh, this lady is an absolute star.
That means so much to me. Thank you so much. And I was dancing in the studio for all of our listeners. You know, I was moving and grooving.
I love it. I love it. All right, so what's next for Mary Cutter? You've dropped this song today, Devil Wears a Lab Coat. What do you do next? I do know that I scooped Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck has you on the show on Monday, and I just want to let Glenn Beck know, sorry, I had her first. But what's next for Mary Cutter?
Well, it's so wild. A lot of folks have been reaching out for me to come on their shows, which is so exciting. Like yourself, of course, you are the first one, as we have stated. Now, today, what is next? I have a meeting after we wrap, but then I have rehearsal with my band because we are going at the very top of Ohio, up in Hamler. I'm playing a show there tomorrow night. And then, oh, wow. So really the next couple weeks are kind of crazy. So there's going to be multiple full band shows. I'm headlining my first ever headlining show.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sugar. I'm so excited about it. It's going to be down in Georgia at Eddie's Attic. There are a few tickets left, although I do know I was yakking with the folks at Eddie's Attic. It looks like it's about ready to sell out. So that's really exciting news. I will be real whenever, I got invited for that. I was like, oh my God, what if we get on there and 5 people show up? That could happen. You hear stories about that.
I'll tell you what,
I'm saying?
Those 5 people would be entertained.
I would still have a blast. And it would be a rock show either way. But to answer your question, there's going to be a lot of shows coming, and really just, God keeps on opening doors, and I'll keep on walking through them.
I love it. Where can we find you on social media to keep up with you and follow you on this journey?
Everywhere is under Mary Cutter. It's like Holy Mary, and then Cutter with a K.
Okay.
Kutter.
All right, perfect. Mary Cutter. Find her on social media. When you come to Nashville, will you let us know where the show is going to be? And
100%,
we can
Sugar.
come in and we can maybe give some tickets away for some listeners and do some fun stuff.
Love that. Let's do it.
All right, that's Mary Cutter. She is an absolute star, and I think we'll let Devil Wore a Lab Coat play us out on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, awesome.
Hey doc, there's a thing in my knee. Been working underground since '83. Doctor said I got you the remedy. It'll kill that pain real quick, trust me. Didn't take long, half the town was on it. Didn't ask questions, no, we just popped them. Doctors getting fat from ranking in kickbacks. It all happened so fast. One man's grave is another man's paycheck. Our expense at our expense. Forget the coal mines, they hit a gold mine. Hooked us on 6 feet of side effects. Like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothes. The devil wore a lab coat.
Good morning. It's 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got an update to the James Comey story. The Gateway Pundit is reporting that the former FBI director has now deleted his entire Instagram account. DHS Director Kristi Noem launched an investigation after Comey posted the now infamous 8647 seashell photo that's seen as a threat to the life of President Trump. Comey erased the post after generating alarm across the internet. No real progress made today between Ukraine and Russia as both sides were in Turkey for talks on how to end the war. ABC's Ian Pannell reports Russia made some what they're calling unreasonable demands regarding land takeovers.
Apparently, they circulated a map which shows a huge swath of Russian-controlled territory, essentially reaching all the way along the southern Ukrainian coastline. That would be totally unacceptable to Ukraine.
That meeting lasted less than 2 hours. You may notice a big police presence along the Cumberland River today. Don't panic, though. That's a training mission taking place between military and law enforcement officials, an exercise to help them prepare for potential disasters. Tennessee National Guard saying these exercises help to strengthen communication, coordination, and response capabilities. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand.
No, it's not.
It is.
You're sugar.
Oh, I'm sugar now.
Yeah.
I'm sugar now. Somebody on the text line said Virginia's going to be mad. It's getting a lot of sugar thrown at me.
You are. Woo.
The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. How awesome is Mary Cutter?
Amazing.
She is a star, man. I'm reading the text line and all of your comments and overwhelming just support for Mary. And if you're listening, Mary, you got to listen to some of these comments. 8568, holding back tears. Her song happened to my dad. A lot of that. A lot of that. Song is a banger. Both songs are bangers. I hate country music, but this is good. And then I had somebody call Beyonce and tell her that this is what country music is.
Boom.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, I much rather would have had Mary win that award over Beyonce.
Honestly, well,
Beyonce made "quote unquote" country.
I think Mary is well on her way to winning more than one award.
Oh, for sure.
So,
watch out for CMAs this November.
And yeah, so she's gonna be at the CMAs in November. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Well, I
don't know if she's about. Is she?
Shoot, I don't know. Anyway. Moving on. When she does a Nashville show, we'll let you know where it is, and we will
I'm going for sure.
Absolutely have her back in studio and give out some tickets. So she's an absolute star, and I was really excited to do the interview because I wanted to break records, and that's like what I grew up wanting to do. And sometimes you hear a song, and it's like that's the one. And it's very Oliver Anthony-esque, you know, but her own lane, her own style. But when I found out that Glenn Beck has her on Monday, I was downright giddy. It's like beating Glenn to the punch.
You scooped him.
We scooped him. It's not every day you can scoop Glenn Beck with a star like Mary Cutter, but we did. We did. All right, so that was that, and we appreciate you, Mary. Find Mary on all your streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify. If you're a boomer like me, Amazon Music, all the things. She is everywhere, and she's one of the best. Now, I imagine Donald Trump's head is spinning today. You think that this guy is just like, whoa, what is going on? By all accounts, he's had a wonderful, fantastic, record-breaking Middle East trip, and everywhere he went, he was welcomed like absolute royalty. Then he finds out that his daughter gave birth. He's got right at the tail end of the trip. Oh my gosh, you're a grandfather again! How amazing is that? And then he hears that the former FBI director wants him assassinated. You can't make this stuff up. It is a wild week for DJT. James Comey deserves to be in the clink. Get that man some silver bracelets ASAP. He posted, as you all know, I'm sure by now, a little funny post on Instagram where he said 8647, which I don't know how much you know about this, but that means 8 miles out of town, 6 feet underground, 86, get rid of him. Now, he's calling for the assassination of Donald Trump. That's what he's doing. He pleads ignorance, and he posted a nice statement that he had no idea, he had no idea that 86 meant kill somebody. To which I would channel the late, great Uncle Phil, and I would say, sir, that is bovine scatology. You prosecuted mobsters. Like, dude, you are lying through your teeth. Not something I'm shocked to see James Comey doing, yet here we are, 8647. I think that James Comey deserves to be in prison. He knew exactly what that meant. Threatening the president with an assassination, that comes with 5 years, a potential of 5 years in prison, and I would like to see James Comey serve every single one. Now, Donald Trump was asked about this during an interview with Bret Baier. Did you hear? James Comey wants you assassinated, and Trump said, I heard. And he knew exactly what it meant. This was Donald Trump earlier today on Fox and Friends. They aired this.
A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become respected again, and all this And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he
Well, he
wasn't calling
apologized
for
'cause he was here.
violence, but
Oh, obviously is Brett Baer? Am I the only one that like heard that? And I'm like, oh, is Brett
I
Baer?
heard it too. I
Brett Baer?
know.
Brett, are you covering for James Comey calling for the assassination?
What he's thinking is that he has to present both sides of the story.
But it's ridiculous
I
because,
hear ya.
like, listen, do I think that James Comey is going to go out and assassinate the president himself? No. But I think that somebody who is insane is going to hear that from James Comey and maybe think, now's my time to be a hero. And that right there, Brett Baer, well, he did apologize. I don't give a damn. Are you kidding me? This isn't the first time this happened either. You know, Gretchen Whitmer did something similar where she had 8645 in the background of one of her little interviews. She was on a Zoom call or something. She had that in the background. Nothing happened to her. Something needs to be done about this. The president has survived at least 2 assassination attempts that we know about. Who knows if there's more? But now you have the former FBI director going for it.
The update to that story?
Yeah.
Comey just deleted his Instagram account.
He deleted the whole account?
The whole account, according to Gateway Pundit.
He is so soft.
Yeah.
He is so soft. And he did all this to sell a book. Let's be perfectly honest. Called for the assassination of the sitting president to help him gin up some controversy to sell a book. He went in with a game plan. He didn't accidentally find a rock or a shell formation on the beach. No. And Brett Baer, I was so disappointed when I heard that. Brett Baer was like, well, he did say he was sorry. I don't care.
Look, he's a very bad...
what do you want to see happen?
What do you want to see happen? I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and
Smart.
all of the great people. But I will say this. I think it's a terrible thing. And when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop.
Yep.
He's a dirty cop. And if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency. But I'm going to let them make that decision.
Yep, they got to make the decision. It was smart for him to do that. Let's be perfectly honest. You don't want the Democrats to have any fodder to say Donald Trump is putting his thumb on the scale and he's prosecuting his political enemies. No, because that's what they would scream from the mountaintops. James Comey didn't know what he was doing, and now Donald Trump is persecuting his political enemies. It's like, no, we don't need to do that. We don't. Donald Trump is very smart. I don't have a position on it. We're going to let Pam handle it. We're going to let Kash Patel handle it. We're going to let the people who need to handle it. And it seems like they are for all intents and purposes. Kash Patel was talking about this on X last night. He said that this is really the Secret Service's gig, but the FBI is standing by and ready to provide support. Posting this tweet, we are aware of the recent social media post by former FBI Director James Comey, directed at President Trump. We're in communication with the Secret Service and Director Kern. Primary jurisdiction is with Secret Service on these matters, and the FBI, will provide all the necessary support. Thank you, Kash Patel. Side note, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but did you hear that Kash Patel is shutting down FBI headquarters?
I can't believe he did that. I have that in an upcoming newscast.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
it's all right. Do you have the audio?
I do.
Okay.
I apologize, but Kash Patel earlier today, sitting alongside Dan Bongino, who's Batman and who's Robin? That's what the people want to know. He's sitting beside Dan Bongino, and he says, headquarters in D.C., nope, not doing it.
Look, the FBI is 38,000 when we're fully manned, which we're not. In the National Capital Region, in the 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C., there were 11,000 FBI employees. That's like a third of the workforce. A third of the crime doesn't happen here. So we're taking 1,500 of those folks and moving them out. Every state's getting a plus up. And I think when we do things like that, we inspire folks in America to become intel analysts and agents and say, we want to go work at the FBI because we want to go fight violent crime and we want to get sent out into the country to do it. And that's what we're doing. In the next 3, 6, 9 months, we're going to do that hard. And, you know, I didn't know that I was going to do this, but I'm going to announce it on your show anyway. This FBI is leaving the Hoover building because this building is unsafe for our workforce, and we want the workforce.
You just gave up a big nugget
we
there.
want the American men and women to know, if you're going to come work at the premier law enforcement agency in the world, we're going to give you a building that's commensurate with that. And that's not this place.
Wow. Kash Patel.
It's what, a museum now? Is that what he said before he was...
So that's what he didn't allude to it becoming a museum today, but that's what he said back in the day. What was it on the Sean Ryan podcast where he said, I'm going to turn it into the museum of the deep state? And I listen, I would go. I would go to the museum. I would. But Kash Patel says FBI headquarters are being shut down. Now, I do have a question, and the question is this. How many James Comey acolytes remain at the FBI, and how good of a job is Kash Patel and Dan Bongino doing at weeding those individuals out? It's a question that hasn't had much discussion in the public forum, but I think it's a question that we need to ask, especially in light of what we've seen from Director Comey. Now we need to question every hire that Director Comey ever made. Let's be perfectly honest, and we probably should have questioned those hires beforehand, and I would hope that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are doing that. Now, while Donald Trump didn't want to get on record and make a statement last night, well, our Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, had no problem going on record and making a statement about James Comey.
Direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life.
We all are. We all are. First, I want to thank DNI Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, for having the spine to go on national TV and say, yes, I think James Comey should be arrested. And I think that she should be saluted for that. Not, well, let's see what's going to happen in an investigation. We're going to throw our best people at it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. She said, no, I think he should be arrested. And I think that took a lot of just spine, I think is probably the best way to put it. It took some backbone to say that on TV. And we thank her for that. Lauren Boebert, she's come out and said he should be arrested. Our own friend Tim Burchett has come out and said arrest Comey. We're seeing these calls growing for James Comey's arrest.
We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
Yeah, he should be held accountable and he should be put behind bars for this. What do you think? 615-737-9986. Do you want to see the former FBI director behind bars? I think that's the only fair thing to do is put him behind bars. Now, DNI Gabbard, she goes a bit further and really digs into the threat behind it and how this individual, James Comey, we're not worried about James Comey doing it. We're worried about who he's going to inspire. This, again, was last night on Jesse Waters. And also, just props to Jesse Waters. His show has really gotten good lately, man.
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States.
I don't even know if it's that veiled. I mean, I think it's pretty blatant and out in the open and apparent. I do. And they're dog whistling to these lunatics on the left. That's what this is from James Comey.
So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for. The dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated. When we have 2 assassination attempts on the president's life, when we have people who look to guys like Comey, who've been celebrated by MSNBC and the Democrat elite and CNN as the beacon of integrity, the law and order guy, the guy who would tell the truth no matter what the consequences. This is the guy who's issuing a hit on President Trump, the president that the American people voted for.
Yep.
So it's guys like Comey and others who call the president the modern day Nazi, people who are in great positions of influence, who are saying that President Trump poses an existential threat to our country. These are people who hate democracy and hate the American people because they cannot stand that the people overwhelmingly chose to elect Donald Trump and send him back to the White House. So they are seeking other means to get their way and to try to remove him from that position.
She's absolutely right. James Comey deserves to be in a nice, tiny little cell. No blankets, because we know what happens with blankets. Looking at you, Epstein. No blankets, no blankets. Just a concrete slab and some silver bracelets. That's what James Comey deserves. It is 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Having an issue there? Everything good? You got it? We're good. 9:53 on Super Talk. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here with an update from our friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're extending those TVA rebates for you so you can still save some major money with Busy Bee right now. If you're thinking about getting a new mini split system, now is definitely the time. You'll get an $800 rebate back on qualifying 17 SEER 2 or higher systems. And depending on credit, you might get no payments for up to 12 months with no interest. Busy Bee's also giving you $50 rebates on your spring and fall AC tune-ups. That's $100 back a year, which basically pays for your entire Beehive Club membership. Also, maybe you're looking for a gig. Busy Bee is hiring. The guys at Busy Bee love working at Busy Bee. You will too. They're hiring open houses on May 31st from 10 to 2. If you've got 3 or more years of experience in plumbing or HVAC, service or install, they want to meet you, and they'll pay you good too, $30 to $39 an hour, plus healthcare, holidays off, even your birthday. And if you're just getting started in the trades, you're welcome too. They want to talk to you as well. Bring the whole family. Check it out. That's Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
It's a stormy Friday. What you want to know about the approaching storms. Also, the talks didn't last long between Ukraine and Russia. We'll tell you the outcome. Those stories coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So originally we were going to have Savannah Hernandez on at 10:35. We have just bumped that up. She's going to be joining us next to talk about what she's been up to in New Jersey. And maybe you remember this from yesterday. We played some of the highlights from her. This is her dealing with radical leftists outside of that ICE facility center in Newark.
They'll take you too. They don't really care.
Why do you think they're going to take me too?
Because you have brown skin.
That's pretty racist. I'm an American citizen.
Doesn't matter.
Yep. Liberals. Am I right? Hey, I got a nice text message here from a liberal. Said,
Well, that's nice.
It said, "You're disgusting and inhuman. If your mother was alive, she'd be ashamed of you." And you know what I said? I said, "Hey, call in." I would bump Savannah Hernandez back to 10:35 if that individual wants to call in.
Please.
He said, "All of you guys spew lies and hate and bigotry." I think that's BS. I haven't said anything bigoted today. 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got to be weather aware this afternoon and tonight. Stefano DiPietro telling us the severe threat level is a 3 in most of the area and a 4 out of 5 in the areas.
What exactly do those numbers mean to us? Well, when you start to get up into those higher end thresholds, it not only means that we have the likelihood of strong to severe thunderstorms, but it also means they're likely going to be more widespread and the intensity factor increasing as well.
Now, as far as a timeline, things should start around 4 this afternoon and run through the early morning hours tomorrow. For the third time in the past week, a weapon has been found in a Nashville student's backpack. Yesterday, the Evolve Weapons Detection System picked up on a student's backpack at Whites Creek High School. This mom, Melanie Coleman, tells Channel 4 she's thankful for that new technology.
It's unfortunate that it took that tragedy, but from the tragedy, we know now that we've got these systems in the schools protecting our babies. And hopefully, right now they're in high school. Let's get them in middle school, because I'm sure they have the same issues.
The tragedy she's referring to, of course, the shooting at Antioch High School. Now, those scanners found weapons on students at Maplewood High School Tuesday and at Antioch High School last Thursday. Metro Nashville police still looking for the shoeless and shirtless man who stole a shuttle bus yesterday and crashed it into several cars. The bus driver had parked outside Batter's Box Bar and Grill and escorted patrons into the bar, apparently leaving the keys behind. The thief took it, crashed into 3 cars on a drive down to Mumbrian Street, and then abandoned the shuttle bus at 16th Avenue South and McGavick Street. No injuries were reported. And President Trump has extended an olive branch to Iran, an American proposal over Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear program.
President Trump Friday confirmed that Iran does have a proposal on a nuclear deal from the U.S., but he didn't share any details. The president spoke to reporters on Air Force One.
They know they have to move quickly, or something bad's going to happen.
The 4th round of nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran took place on Sunday in Oman. On Tuesday, President Trump said he'd offered an olive branch to Iran, but didn't elaborate. Thursday, he said he thinks the U.S. and Iran are, quote, getting close. Karen Travers, ABC News, Abu Dhabi.
That's the latest news. We've got weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
They'll take you too. They don't really care
Why do you think they're going to take me too?
because you have brown skin.
That's pretty racist. I'm an American citizen.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Being an American citizen doesn't matter when it comes to deportations, I guess. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Love those guys. That was Savannah Hernandez. She's an investigative reporter and journalist for Frontlines and Turning Point USA, dealing with the most radical members of the left in New Jersey. She joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Sav? How we doing?
Doing well, Chris. It was unfortunately a very successful New Jersey, New York trip. And I say unfortunately because that means that I was, going head to head with some of the craziest people in society. But overall, we got a lot done.
Yeah, and you almost got taken out by like 3 security members of the Newark mayor's team. That was interesting because you're 5 foot tall, and I don't think you need 3 members of security running after you. What happened yesterday with you and Mayor Ross Baraka out of Newark?
Yeah, so he left his court appearance and, of course, came out to a plethora of cameras, and he thought that he was going to have this amazing photo op moment where he could stand up as a fighter for immigrant rights.
Yeah.
Now, we know that this man is trying to run for governor of New Jersey, so everything that he's doing right now is to garner headlines for himself and PR. He doesn't care about the people of New Jersey. He cares about his run for governor and himself. So he was leaving, but of course, I wanted to make sure that he was asked a real and substantial question. Now, we all know that the people being held in the ICE Delaney Hall Detention Center are MS-13 members, murderers, child rapists, drug traffickers, the worst of the worst. And so I asked him why he was defending those people. And of course, the huge 6-foot-tall men around him felt the need to push me and be extremely aggressive with me. And it was funny because I was walking alongside the mayor for a good 3 or 4 minutes. And then as soon as I asked my question, I actually have an alternate angle of this huge security guard immediately swatting my camera and trying to block my camera. And it's hilarious because the mayor goes out in front of all of these cameras and says, the First Amendment is so important. Freedom of the press is so important. We have to allow people to report. And then immediately his people try to shut me down.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Bunch of losers. I saw him pushing you. I was surprised you didn't start taking swings. I've seen you more angry on this trip to New Jersey than I've ever seen you before. Was it hard not taking a haymaker to one of them?
You know what? I'm always on my best behavior, and I always have to be, unfortunately for me, because I get pushed around. But, it is what it is. And, the illegal immigration issue is really important to me, and I didn't realize how important it was until I was debating these anti-ICE protesters that were standing in front of this detention facility. Because again, all of America wants to know why these people think it's okay to defend the worst criminals in society who, 1, shouldn't even be in the United States of America, 2, have gotten due process, and 3, just need to be all around deported. Why are you defending these people? And again, this is a crisis that I have focused in on for the last 4 years. I have watched it degrade this country from New York to California. And I honestly I didn't realize how passionate I was about it truly until I saw these people defending the worst criminals in society.
Well, my favorite part was when a radical leftist protester looks at you and says they'll deport you too because you're brown. What?
Yeah, it's such a joke, and they always resort to that because they have no substance for their argument. I stood there and I let them know exactly who was in this facility because it kind of gets even worse, Chris, because 75% of these detainees are convicted of crimes, have committed crimes, or have pending criminal convictions. So it was kind of funny because the initial argument was these are women and children in this facility that are just being scooped up. And I was like, no, it's not. This is who is in the facility. And then it goes, okay, well, everyone deserves due process. This is about due process. I go, okay, well, they've gotten due process. They need to be deported. And then it turns into, well, we don't want a private company profiting off of New Jersey. And again, it's just like they have to keep moving the goalposts because they know what they're defending is absolutely ridiculous. And that's when they just resort to rampant racism of, well, they're just deporting American citizens and you should be living in fear because you're brown. So that's where we ended up at.
They always go to fear. Like, that's the easiest emotion that they use to manipulate people, fear. I did see you talking to one blue-haired individual. I don't know how they identify. Your guess is as good as mine. But you were talking to one blue-haired individual, and you said, are you really defending child rapists inside there? And what was her reaction to your question?
This crazy woman doubled down. Okay, I'll tell you what she identified as, Chris. She identified as stupid. I have never talked to somebody so dumb in my life, okay? And that's the thing. It's like, look, you guys know who you're defending, right? And I think that's why it is important to go talk to these people, because it forces them to double down on the fact that they're defending murderers. And she absolutely doubled down on the fact that she thought that child rapists deserve dignity. We differed on that one, and she was very angry at me because she said that I didn't believe that these people deserve dignity. No, I don't. And I will proudly scream that from the rooftops, that I do not think that drug traffickers and child rapists deserve dignity. So, we had a little bit of political difference on that there. But, again, these people are just crazy, Chris. And this is the narrative that we are going to see for the next 4 years. And like you said, too, I always love calling the left wing racist because they don't know how to react to it, because usually that's their thing, is calling everybody on the right racist and Nazis. So when you turn it on them, it's hilarious. But you're right. More accurately, it's fear. They want people to be afraid. They want Americans to think that we are going to get deported as well. Americans are not being deported. I am so tired of the left wing telling me that as an American, I should live in fear of deportation. It's not happening. They're living in a fantasy land. And they're living in a fantasy land of delusion, because when you hit them with the facts and they're forced to confront with what they're doing, they just straight up say, well, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's insane. We're talking with Savannah Hernandez. She's just an unbelievable investigative journalist with Frontlines and Turning Point USA. What do you make of James Comey, Sev?
Oh, good Lord. That man needs to be in jail yesterday. Why has he not been arrested yet? Honestly, I haven't been on X, so maybe he has been arrested. I would hope so, DOJ. Has he? I don't know.
He hasn't yet. Hate to break it to you.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, Chris.
What are the odds that he actually gets arrested?
Look, to be quite honest with you, if they could perp walk and take a mugshot of the former president of the United States of America, if the FBI could illegally spy on him, if they could rummage through Mar-a-Lago, if they could threaten and harass his family and everybody in his vicinity for years, then James Comey should answer for this, because absolutely calls for assassination and threats against the president is a felony crime, Chris. I was looking this up yesterday. You could face up to 5 years in jail for this. So he does need to face accountability, because this is a president that almost got assassinated, not once, but twice. And if we truly are about law and order in this country, and if the DHS and the DOJ are serious about protecting President Trump, then James Comey does need to be arrested.
I'm with you. And the left always points at the right and says, you guys are so violent, yet we see the left with the firebombings of the Teslas. We see security of Mayor Ross Baraka pushing you around. We see the insanity. We see the assassination attempts. Why is the left so violent right now? Are they just a cornered, wounded animal? Is that what's happening?
I don't even think it's that. I think that they've been allowed to be violent for decades, and this is how they have always gotten power, and they've always made people afraid of them, is they have used violence. They've used these tactics. They've used cancellation to keep Americans quiet and scared. So again, it is very important and essential that now that we have power again in our institutions, that we do prosecute people that commit crimes, right? We're not just going and picking up random people on the street who are a political opposition that we don't like. No, these are people who are actively making violent threats, are calling for violence against people because we have different political ideologies than them, or actually out committing violence. And I do believe that somebody got arrested for making a threat against Tulsi Gabbard. You just had another individual, a trans individual, who was arrested for making threats against Nancy Mace's life. So if those individuals got arrested, then 10 out of 10, James Comey, who was our former FBI director, who knows dang well what 8647, come on, Chris. I mean, I used to be a former server. Okay, I know what 86 means. So you're telling me our former FBI director is posting I thought this was a political message written out in shells on the beach. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, and what are the odds that he found it? I think he probably made it himself. He found all the nice shells, and he organized it, and he did it to promote his new book. Let's be perfectly honest.
It's just such a joke, and the left-wing Tribune is so crazy that they are going to try to make political martyrs out of themselves, and I think we're going to see that time and time again. But like I said, if we really do care about law and order, and sorry, I'm in my hotel room right now.
Blowing
They're trying
up.
to kick me out, Chris.
Everybody
they can hear me talking about right-wing issues, and they're mad about it.
There's a bigot in room 302 that we need to get rid of because she's against illegal immigration.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. Savannah Hernandez is a fantastic investigative journalist. You can keep up with her at @Sav_says. Where are you heading next, Sav? Where do you need to set your targets? I know you just confronted Mayor Ross Baraka. We have our own mayor here in Nashville who's just been heartbroken about the illegal immigration situation with ICE raids, and he said it doesn't make our city safer, which is just a load of BS or bovine scatology, depending on how you like to say it. But you see that it's making cities safer. Denver and Aurora, Colorado have seen their murder rates plummet in the first quarter because of the deportations of Tren de Aragua members. So I guess, who are you going to go confront on this issue next?
Absolutely, Chris. You know what? I think that Nashville might be a perfect spot for me to head to next. So we will see. But, I'm always keeping my eye on any issue that is affecting an American citizen. I am there. I'm on the scene. So, hey, maybe Nashville is my next target. Absolutely.
Well, keep me posted because we'd love to have you in studio.
For sure, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. And sorry about my hotel room. This is life on the road. It's just so unexpected. Here I am just trying to have a good call with my friend Chris, and I can't even do it.
It's live radio, baby. That's what we do. 1017 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Savannah, how can we keep up with you online?
Go follow me on X at @SavSays, and go follow Frontline TV USA.
All right, appreciate you, Sav. Savannah Hernandez on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. She's one of the best. Thank you, Sav.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, they were mad at her. They were mad at her talking about right-wing issues. You got to get out of that hotel. Again, my favorite thing from the entire interview that she did with those radical leftists outside the ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey.
They'll take you too. They don't really care.
Why do you think they're going to take me too?
Because you have brown skin.
That's pretty racist. I'm an American citizen.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Except that it does. Except the part where it matters. That part. So dumb. I can't even understand these people that Sav has to deal with. It's a tough gig. Somebody's got to do it. And the people want deportations. We're seeing polling that even swing voters, independents, want these deportations. A majority of independents want these deportations. The American people know exactly what time it is, and they know the streets are becoming safer via the mass deportations. A majority of likely 2026 general election voters support deporting illegal aliens from the United States back to their country of origin, including most swing voters. A recent survey from Signal revealed. And then they do these surveys every now and again. We don't really need the surveys to understand this. We all know. ICE is working hard, though. They got 239 criminal illegal aliens in Los Angeles in 1 week. For that, we say thank you. And there's also reports that DHS is requesting 20,000 National Guard troops to help assist with this immigration operation. Breitbart has this story, and it's wild. Trump's Department of Homeland Security is reportedly asking for more than 20,000 National Guard troops to help with immigration. The New York Times quoted 2 U.S. officials in a report published on Thursday. The request to the Defense Department came after President Trump asked the Department of Homeland Security last week to increase its ranks by pulling in 20,000 officers from state or federal agencies. The newspaper continued. Lawyers at the Pentagon were reviewing the request with Interior Immigration Enforcement, according to a Defense Department official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe internal deliberations. It was unclear what role state National Guard members would play and whether they would be involved in rounding up people for deportation, the official said. National Guard troops have generally played a supporting role to domestic authorities in enforcing immigration issues at the border, including logistics, security, and other assistance. But the Defense Department officials said that if the requests were approved, it would be the first time National Guard troops were used to help enforce an immigration crackdown in the United States. I hope that this goes through, and I'm going to say a prayer over the weekend that it does. I hope that you do as well. It is 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A level 4 out of 5 storm for some of us. What else you want to know about today's weather? And the Hoover building is being repurposed. We've got that and more coming up here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 1024 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Gosh, we've had some good guests today. Shout out to Mary Cutter. Shout out to Savannah Hernandez. Sav sent me a text. She went, LOL, sorry. They would not stop calling. I had to straight up run to a stairwell, followed by a couple of skull emojis.
I was wondering why the call got echoey at the end.
That hotel
That
wanted to
explains
get
a lot.
rid of her. That hotel wanted to get rid of her. And then Kevin texted in, and he said, she has nothing original. I get breaking news from Dom Lucre.
Did you send that to her?
I sent it to her. I screenshotted it. I sent it to Sav. She said, ha, 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 ha. They never forgive. They never forget. My rider dies.
Amazing. Love it.
That was like our second interview, like with her, like, well, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago.
Yeah. Holy cow.
It was like so Sav puts out all this reporting where like Sav is like on the road and she hustles. And so she flies all over the country and she does her best to get footage of just insanity. And then Dom Lucre had a habit of another Twitter user, social media influencer, Dom Lucre, had a habit of taking her footage and not giving her credit. So it's become like an inside joke that I heard this story already from Dom Lucre.
It's like everybody taking like it's on Instagram Reels. They'll take a video that they saw that was popular, put the green screen effect on the background, change it, and then just re-upload it. And it goes viral.
That's what they do. It's insane.
It's so dumb.
insane. Definitely follow Sav. Sav_says on X. She's one of the best. James Comey wants to assassinate the president. That's pretty much what happened with a seashell formation. Things I didn't expect to be talking about on a radio show in 2025. The former FBI director sent out a death threat via seashell. Yet here we are, right? Isn't that weird?
That's a memorable beach vacation.
The former FBI director sent out a death threat via seashell. Yep. Here we are. Mike in Nashville, what do you think about Comey, brother? Yo, Mike.
Okay, how you doing, Chris?
Good, man. What do you think?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, brother. It seems like every day is something new, Chris, with these people, man. It's obvious, these people, they're not happy. Do you really think they're happy seeing Donald Trump go to Saudi Arabia, getting having these jet fighters, flying with the plane and helping him land this Air Force One, and then, the country giving him an airplane, and then you got the king or prince over there in Saudi Arabia treating Donald Trump like he's royalty.
Yep.
And then Donald Trump is signing all these deals. And he got the border shut down. Donald Trump is good. These people are jealous of Donald Trump. And,
I think you might be right. I think you might be right.
I think it's only going to get. Go ahead.
I think that you're right. I mean, you look at the last week of Trump. He basically was the deciding factor in a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. We had a Chinese trade deal. We just the past couple weeks, UK trade deal. We're having this insane Middle East trip. He's been unbelievable. I think you're right. Jealousy is definitely part of it.
Yeah. Like I said, there's so much going on. He's doing so much, Chris. I can't even keep up with all the stuff he's done. And I think I told you this the last time I talked to you. Trump has done more in less than 6 months than Joe Biden did in 4 years. That tells you all you need to know.
Yep.
And then I think I heard a guy on another radio. Do you realize this, Chris? Maybe you could focus on this after I hang out with you. Do you realize on this trip that Donald Trump has taken over to these Arab countries that he has signed over $10 trillion, not billion, $10 trillion worth of money, jobs, and other things coming back to the U.S. Including the 200 airplane deal with Boeing for order of planes. This guy, and you and I both know, Chris, that if Joe Biden Kamala was in president right now, do you really think these things would be happening right now if Kamala Harris was president?
And we know it wouldn't be. Man, there were business leaders saying that we've been waiting for Trump to get back into office so we could invest this money because we weren't going to do it under Biden. It's baked in the cake. I got to tell you though, Mike. I got to tell you though, Mike. I'm a little distracted because you said you were listening to another guy on another radio, and I thought we had something special here, Mike. But you're listening.
No. You my man. You my man, Chris. But I'm saying I listen to you. No, I listen to the guy on your show before it comes on before you.
No, I'm just, bro. I'm giving you grief, man. I'm giving you grief.
You still my number one guy. Like I said, I listen to you every day, and like I said, I like for you to focus on that after I hang out with you. Tell the people about all the deals that Trump has done in the last couple of weeks, and adding up to over $10 trillion worth of money, and maybe you'll have change some people's minds about this idiot, these losers that are out that hate Donald Trump. And I thank you for taking my call.
Hey, I appreciate you, Mike, as always. I don't think we can change these losers' mind. I don't. I think that we're going to have to drag them kicking and screaming into prosperity. And spoiler alert, it looks like that's what we're going to do. We haven't even felt the ripple effects from some of these economic deals that Donald Trump has been making out there yet. We haven't even seen this at full strength yet. We will, though. And we're going to talk about Donald Trump's Middle East trip when we get back. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It's a stormy Friday. Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro on what we should expect.
That severe weather is likely across the mid-state late today and heading into our night tonight. Heavy rain, high wind gusts, really going to be a big threat with any thunderstorm that develops. Storms could also have some hail, and that tornado threat is certainly there. A couple of isolated tornadoes will be possible.
Keep it here on WTN. We will keep you updated. FBI Director Kash Patel with a big announcement today.
This FBI is leaving the Hoover building because this building is unsafe for our workforce, and we want the workforce.
He just gave up a big nugget.
We want the American men and women to know, if you're going to come work at the premier law enforcement agency in the world, we're going to give you a building that's commensurate with that. And that's not this place.
He was sitting alongside Assistant Director Dan Bongino there. They were being interviewed by Maria Bartiromo on Fox News. Now, Patel says he's also sending thousands of agents employed in D.C. out into American communities where he says they're needed to solve crime. At the Memphis Zoo yesterday, someone threw a shoe over a wall and into the den of a Komodo dragon. It was a croc, a red croc, and the Komodo dragon swallowed it. Officials at the zoo had to rush the animal into surgery and remove the croc from the animal's stomach. They say it'll make a full recovery. The zoo didn't say whether they caught the shoe-throwing visitor. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
1036, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, the FM dial. You can watch us as well. We're on Super Talk TV. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. Join us on YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, and weigh in on the conversation in the YouTube chat, the most red-pilled chat. You can also join the conversation in other ways as well. Text line, phone line, same number, 615-737-9986. Donald Trump, the world tour, it's coming to a close, man, and it was wildly successful. Yesterday, Donald Trump talking about how many hands he has had to shake.
Jennifer, I'm sure that you saw that last night. I shook more hands than any human being is capable of doing. That was a long deal, and they were big people. But they were starving for love because our country didn't give them love. They gave them a fist bump. Remember the fist bump in Saudi Arabia?
I remember.
He travels all the way to Saudi Arabia in that case, and he gives them a fist bump. That's not what they want. They don't want a fist bump. They want to shake his hand.
Yeah, they don't want a fist bump. He's obviously talking about this notorious picture that was sent around when Joe Biden visited the Middle East, where he gave just that, a lousy, weak, soft fist bump to our friend MBS. Yep. But by all accounts, this trip has been absolutely fantastic. Scott Jennings was talking about Donald Trump and what he was able to accomplish in the Middle East. Scott Jennings said, listen, what Trump was able to do is exactly what God put him on this earth to do, make deals.
He has thrown a lot of the old orthodoxy out the window because I think he just doesn't feel hemmed in by the politicians of the past. I mean, we did not elect a president here who comes from the normal political channels. He doesn't feel like he has to abide by the old rules. And he, I think, is dealing in realism. He would say, I'm dealing with the people that I have to deal with. You may not like it, but these are the people I have to deal with. On Qatar, I mean, we have $26 billion in active foreign military sales with these people. They're the second largest foreign military sales partner that we have. They just spent $8 billion over the last several years on our huge military base that we have there. So it's not like we're not already in bed with the people in Qatar, like it or not. And I'm not here to defend some of the things they've done, but we already have partnerships with these people. And so the idea that this president is not going to deal with them or deal with other players in the region when we are already so entangled, I think, is not realistic. And look, this man was put on earth to make deals. He's a deal maker. I think this trip to the Middle East, he's already showing this is what he was put here to do, and he's doing it.
Yeah, a lot of deals coming in, a lot of money pouring in. We were doing business with all these countries already. You know, a lot of people would say, oh, how are you dealing with these people in the Middle East? And Trump said in Saudi Arabia, listen, we had leaders in the past who felt it was their job to look into the soul of foreign leaders all over the world and judge them morally. He said, that's not my job. That's not. And it shouldn't be. I mean, we shouldn't do that. Because the old saying about throwing stones when you live in a glass house, it's not a good idea. You know, we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But they rolled out the red carpet for him all over the Middle East. The Burj Khalifa in United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi. Did you see that? So this is the tallest building in the world. Look at what they did to this building. If you're watching on the stream, you'll see it. They essentially took the world's tallest building and dressed it up in an American flag.
That's cool.
In the middle of the Middle East. It's wild.
That's huge, literally and figuratively.
They rolled out the red carpet for this guy. So then, this is what I do. Because I'm a bit of a weirdo. I went down a rabbit hole. I went down the rabbit hole of tallest buildings. And I have to tell you honestly, I'm a little disappointed at where the U.S. ranks on the world's tallest buildings list. So the majority of them are in Asia. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. You got the Burj Khalifa. That's in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, which you're seeing on the screen, that they draped in American flags. That is the tallest building in the world, 2,717 feet, 163 stories. It was completed in 2010. The second tallest building, Merdeka 118, that's in Malaysia. Then you got Shanghai Tower coming in at number 3. You have Abraj Al Bait Clock Tower in Saudi Arabia coming in at number 4. Then you have Ping An Finance Center in Shenzhen, China coming in at number 5. The Lot Tower, Lot World Tower in Seoul, South Korea at number 6. And then the U.S. makes an appearance on the top 10 with One World Trade Center in New York. And I have to be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed. I feel like America should have the tallest building in the world. Does anybody else feel like that? Can we do that? Are we allowed? Are we allowed to have the tallest building in the world? I think that we should. I think we deserve it. I'm tired of seeing other countries doing better than us. Number 7, soft. So Asia dominates. 9 out of the 10 tallest buildings are in Asia. China has the most entries, 5 skyscrapers. Burj Khalifa still holds a commanding lead over even the closest at number 2. But this is what I did last night. As I'm doing show prep, my wife looks at me. She says, "Is this show prep?" She's like, "You're looking at skyscrapers." I said, "I know." And it is. And I'm disappointed. But they rolled out the red carpet for this guy everywhere. When he arrived at, and I'm probably butchering this, just full disclosure. This is at Qasr Al Watan in Abu Dhabi. He arrived there. This is the presidential palace, if you will, in United Arab Emirates. So Donald Trump walks in there, and they were just jazzed to see him. I mean, you have a bunch of individuals waving American flags. You have these girls channeling their inner Willow Smith, whipping their hair back and forth like crazy people. But the red carpet, everybody in the Middle East was excited to have Donald Trump in attendance. The red carpet was there. You also saw a bunch of random countries just playing the YMCA wherever Donald Trump went. I don't know. Is the YMCA the official USA theme song now? Do you think it should be? Because they were doing it everywhere.
I don't know if I want that to be our theme, but it's not bad.
I've never seen a member of the YMCA with a sword and a turban. They need one.
Fair enough.
But, I mean, you got camels running around and horses running around and people dancing to the YMCA. It's like, I don't know what the hell happened in the Middle East last week.
What were those ladies doing they're in Abu Dhabi that were like on either side of the Emir and President Trump, and they're just kind of whipping their hair around?
So I said that they were channeling their inner Willow Smith because, and maybe I'm the only one that thinks that joke is funny. She had put out a record a few years back called "I Whip My Hair Back and Forth." Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
I don't, but...
Am I the only one that remembers that?
You may be, brother.
Will Smith's daughter put out a record. So this is when I was in music radio, and they put this out, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to be such a smash hit," and we were like, "Eh." We're like, I don't know if that's the case,
right?
That it's going to be a smash. But they were pretty sure of themselves that it was going to be a hit. But yeah, they were whipping their hair back and forth.
Yeah,
like Willow Smith. And hold on, let me see if I can find a little piece of this. Hold on, this is hold on, right here. Hold on, she used to whip her. That was Willow Smith.
I whip my hair back and forth.
And that's
what they were doing.
That's what they were doing. They were whipping that hair back and forth. It was unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like that. So I just thought, that's interesting.
So, and excuse me for my ignorance, I didn't think you were allowed to show your hair.
Well,
in a lot of these countries.
Yeah,
Abu Dhabi and United Arab Emirates, though, they're a little bit more...
I think they're a little more...
chill.
Yeah, on that. I mean, I think in Iran, I don't think you can show any hair in Iran. I'm not sure. I know the Taliban is definitely against anything like that, in Afghanistan. But these countries where the president visited, these are on a different level.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, when he showed up at it's Qasr Al Watan, the presidential palace.
Yeah.
So that's where they were whipping their hair back and forth. Stephen Miller put out a post, And it was just in classic Stephen Miller fashion, which also every world leader that I saw that was interacting with Stephen Miller during the Middle East trip seemed like they just loved Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Like everybody was all excited to see him. So he posted this picture of Qasr Al Watan, the presidential palace in United Arab Emirates. And I mean, it's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
He quote tweeted this. This place looks immaculate. The only one that would undervalue this would be like somebody like Letitia James. So, but he posts this comment to it, and he goes, "The exquisite palace costs less to construct than the Democrats spent housing illegal immigrants at the Roosevelt Hotel."
Interesting.
He said, less funds. This costs less than the funds given to a single left-wing NGO to resettle refugees. And this exquisite palace also cost less than the cost of DEI contracts in just one single government agency. Like it's just a crazy way to put into context how much money our government has been wasting. And shout out to Stephen Miller for doing that. When you look at the picture of this palace and then you realize, we spent more on illegal aliens hanging out at the Roosevelt Hotel and trashing it in New York City than they spent on this palace, which looks like it was just chiseled out of a chunk of marble. It's wild.
I don't recall an American president being welcomed like this.
I don't either.
In this region. And I may be wrong because I haven't always paid attention to things like this. But I don't recall anything like this.
I mean, my entire lifetime, we weren't really big fans of this region.
Well, and we probably still aren't. But for what President Trump is wanting to do, I feel he truly is trying to bring peace.
Yep, I agree with that.
And I'm getting his message is that if everybody is doing well economically, there's going to be peace.
But that's a tale as old as time. It's
is.
You want to see real change in this country, wait until people get hungry. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've said that before during the Biden administration when we were talking about the inflation crisis.
Right.
It's like you want to wake people up, wait until they start getting hungry. And so to bring peace, you bring prosperity. That's a huge part of it. Trump went on a walking tour all over Abu Dhabi. I mean, they were going to museums, the presidential palace, and over. And he had this to say about his walking tour in Abu Dhabi.
This was a great and just an amazing day. This was a little bit of an endurance test. He was just testing to see whether or not I had the endurance. I do very easily. We could have done it 10 times over. But what a beautiful job. It's made easier by the incredible work you've done. So thank you very much. On behalf of a lot of these people that came with me, congratulations. Beautiful job.
He said it was a bit of an endurance test. He was testing to see whether or not I could do it. I could do it 10 more times. I love it. Listen, this trip was so successful that even Democrats are admitting it. We got a rep out of Connecticut. What's this guy's name? Jim Himes. Jim Himes. He's a congressional rep out of Connecticut. They asked him, he's at some Politico speaking event, and they asked him about the president's trip to the Middle East, and he's like, I hate to admit it, but he's done a pretty damn good job.
I'm not in the habit of praising Donald Trump, but I got to tell you, the last week or so in the Middle East, Ukraine, Russia is a different story. Yeah. The last week in the Middle East, I go into the week fearing that the Prime Minister of Israel is hell-bent on going to war with Iran. I go into the week worried that we're going to miss the thread of an opportunity in Syria for the new leadership there. And I got to tell you, I think the president has, in this last week or so, played the Middle East pretty darn well. My guess is that the Prime Minister of Israel is cooling his heels a little bit on planning for Iran. My guess is that he's probably thinking through a better situation than he otherwise might want for Gaza. And look, it appears we're going to give Sharia a chance in Syria. That's pretty good stuff. Again, not in the habit of praising this president, but I got to give him some.
Not in the habit of praising this president, says Rep. Jim Himes. Again, he's a Democrat out of Connecticut. He's a ranking member at the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And he said that what Donald Trump did over this last week was pretty darn good. Listen, That's praise. That is absolute praise. The Democrats know exactly what time it is, and they're having a hard time screaming orange man bad right now. They're having a hard time pleasing their own voters. Only 1 in 3 Democrats are optimistic about their party's future currently. Why, you might ask? Well, the over-reliance on orange man bad and the over-reliance on radical policies. I'll highlight a couple of those when we get back. Comments from Jamie Raskin and Rep. Ayanna Pressley on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Storms today have the potential to be severe. We'll bring you the latest information. And that food that has just been recalled, you'll want to make sure you get rid of it. And drivers right now in Sumner County, we've got a crash blocking the left lane, 65 northbound before Louisville Highway. We got the top stories and an update on that weather coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom.
Storms
Excuse me.
Today.
I got something going on in the background. I think that's my fault. I'm messing up.
Yeah, I think I found our issue.
Is it me?
Yep, it's you, bud.
Well, I'm trying my best.
I believe in you. I have our faith. It's a good show.
I'm trying hard. Hey, you know how many people got my Willow Smith reference?
How many?
2. Shout out to you guys on the text line. 3442 said the hair whipping back and forth is an ancient ritual reserved only for kings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I figured as much. I just didn't know its origins, and I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. You are not the only one. Even Democrats are admitting that Donald Trump's trip to the Middle East has been pretty good. We had Rep. Jim Himes, ranking member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Democrat out of Connecticut. It's like, I don't want to praise the president, but gosh, he did a bang up job over there. And it's crazy to hear stuff like this because usually what you hear is just orange man bad. That's what we got from Jamie Raskin yesterday because when you run out of talking points, it's really easy to say, did you know Donald Trump is a racist, evil bigot? Jamie Raskin says Donald Trump doesn't follow the rule of law.
Can you imagine a scenario where, I don't know, France or Germany wanted to give President Biden or Obama a plane, and they did that after giving, one of their kids a deal where they could build a hotel with a pool on the 100th floor of a hotel in Paris or Munich? I mean, we're so far beyond anything that's ever happened before and anything that anyone in the Republican Party would think would ever pass the smell test if a Democratic president or politician did it. Do you think we are different as a country now?
Let me just jump in before Jamie Raskin gives his answer. You remember the Biden crime family, right? Like the last president actually on his way out the door had to pardon his entire family because of shady business dealings with foreign governments. So that was just a few months ago. That just happened. Can you imagine anything like this ever happening? I can. It just happened. I also don't believe what you're insinuating about Donald Trump. Jamie Raskin.
Well, I would say certainly the Republican Party is very different from what it was like 20 years ago or 50 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
was a party that had some basic fidelity to the rule of law, and now they have fidelity to one guy, Donald Trump. If you take Article 6 of the Constitution seriously, we have a supreme constitution. We don't have a supreme leader, but they do have a supreme leader, and they will find a way to justify and rationalize anything that Donald Trump does. I mean, this is almost a cartoon example with the $400 million flying grift, or they're calling it bribery force one. Will the Republicans actually go along with it? Now, interestingly, I think there's 6 or 7 Republicans on the Senate side who've been willing to voice their essential displeasure with this, saying that it does violate the Constitution if he doesn't come to Congress. So far, there's not been a single House Republican who's been willing to utter that inescapable truth.
Oh, it violates the Constitution, says the man who represents the party that tried to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Got it. I mean, do the Democrats talk about anything other than orange man bad? I mean, I guess they do, right? They do from time to time. But when they do, it's just like radical leftist ideology ideas that they can also bring back to Donald Trump, like this from Ayanna Presley.
And discrimination against black people. We are in a moment of anti-blackness on steroids, and we refuse to be silent. We will not back down in our pursuit of racial justice. The antidote to anti-blackness is to be pro-black, and we will do it unapologetically. The United States government owes us a debt, and we need reparations now.
Oh, okay. This is why you guys only have 1 in 3 in the Democrat Party optimistic about your future. You understand that, right?
There's nobody in control of that party.
Nobody. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers in Sumner County, we've got a crash off on the right shoulder now, 65 northbound before Louisville Highway. It is stop-and-go traffic starting at Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. And we are tracking the potential for some severe weather today. Everyone in Middle Tennessee is under a level 3 out of 5 risk, but it's even higher along and north of I-40. And we're talking about all of the things possible, including isolated tornadoes. With a little more, here's Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro.
The overall threat has continued to increase over the last 24 hours. And now areas north of Interstate 40, I would even say this is right near downtown Nashville, a level 4 out of 5 on that threat scale. It's a 3 out of 5 elsewhere across the mid-state.
And this is from now until tomorrow morning around 7 o'clock. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. I can tell you they've been dealing with some bad weather in the Midwest. First responders in Wisconsin starting to surveil the damage from a series of storms yesterday that brought heavy rain and tornadoes. Alex Perez is in Chicago.
Tornadoes tearing across Wisconsin.
See it swirling around, and then that's when I run inside and get in the basement.
Children spotting one from their school bus window. In Juneau, drone images capturing the magnitude of the damage. Homes shredded, roofs ripped right off, downed power lines littering roads, firemen searching for anyone who may be trapped.
And then in Chicago, fans attending the big Beyonce's Cowboy Carter concert at Soldier Field were evacuated, had to run for cover as storms pounded the area, water rushing downstairs. A fight between two people here in Nashville turned into a shootout in the parking lot of a busy Antioch strip mall yesterday. Here's Channel 4's Steve Mailing.
They say one of those guys was hit twice in the leg and then taken to a nearby hospital, while the other guy in this incident took off running. But it really is a miracle that no one else was hit as a result of this incident, just based on how wide the crime scene was from the stray bullets that were fired off in this parking lot. Now, from what we saw on scene, multiple businesses were hit by stray gunfire. Employees and customers told us they ducked for cover once the gunfire erupted. Over a dozen shots were fired based off evidence markers placed at the scene. One woman we spoke with tells us she was inches away from being hit.
Yeah, this fight happened outside the Antioch Wine and Liquors store. And there's a recall of some pouches of baby food sold at Publix. It's the Greenwise brand of pear, kiwi, spinach, and pea pouches. And Publix says they're being recalled due to the potential to be contaminated with elevated levels of lead. If you have them, take them back to the store for a full refund. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. Thank you again to Mary Cutter for joining the show. She's got an awesome record out today. If you missed our interview earlier this morning at 9:05, it's going to be podcasted if it hasn't already, and it is worth the listen. Mary Cutter, an emerging country music star. She got a new song out today called Devil Wore a Lab Coat. Definitely worth the listen on any streaming platform because it's a banger. Shout out to Mary. Good luck with everything. She'll be coming back, definitely. This is not going to be the last time you hear Mary Cutter. So we're gonna be podcasting that. We'll condense it down on YouTube as well. Shout out to Savannah Hernandez for joining the show, and shout out to the other two people on the text line who also said that they understood the Willow Smith reference. We're up to 4 now.
I do want to point out, I got your reference.
Well, I know you did.
Yeah, but you're calling out for like 3 people in this little crowd that you've collected and saying that they understood it, including
no,
you.
it's 4.
That's what I'm just verifying.
5 counting you.
Okay.
What the Ilea dance means and why it was performed during the Donald Trump visit to the UAE. You ready for this?
Lay it on me.
So everybody's sending me info now on the hair dance. I didn't know I needed all this info.
Yeah,
So
they know more about the hair dance than they do about Willow Smith.
A texter had said to me that it was reserved for kings.
Okay.
Turns out that's not necessarily the case. It's reserved for like visitors, like very, very
that feels like it makes more sense.
Important individuals, and it's reserved for weddings.
Interesting.
The traditional performances of the UAE, such as the Ilea dance and the local hair dance by girls referred to as Nashat, are powerful expressions of the country's cultural identity and values. The Ilea, performed by men in 2 rows and a symbol of unity, pride, and heritage, recognized UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It is more than just a performance. It is woven into the fabric of Emirati life. But they say the hair whip is performed at weddings, often over 3 days, used to celebrate joy and togetherness.
All right, so there we know. Now we know.
We're learning things.
You just said over 3 days.
Yeah.
Is that consistent?
I have no idea. That was my first question, too.
I bet you there'd be something at a heavy metal concert.
Yeah.
I'd imagine you need a water break.
Oh, for sure. But I was like, I just woke up this morning with my neck hurting from sleeping on it wrong.
Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine?
Imagine the day after. You've been doing that for 3 days straight. Can you keep your head up? Or is your neck just constantly like...
Well, it looks like they
rubber?
make the youth do that. It's really for the younger girls.
Oh, so it affects them later in life.
Well, you can also just say, don't complain.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, it's not for you 20-somethings there, Brother Mason.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm already complaining about issues. I think something's wrong.
Speaking of issues, the Democrats always have one with the orange man. Orange man bad. We tend to think orange man rad. But the Democrats are always upset. They always bring things back to Trump. And they've been doing their best to demonize him since he got back into office on January 20th. And we've seen predictions. So, the walls are closing in. His poll numbers are dropping. What is James Carville said? By this time next month, his poll numbers are going to be in the toilet. And we actually have an update from CNN's Harry Enton. He's the poll guy over there at CNN on Trump's current poll numbers as of May 13th, according to Reuters and Ipsos polling.
Time for a bit of a reality check, right? We were going to late April. Donald Trump's approval rating, his net approval seemed to be falling. He seemed to be adios amigos. People were writing his political obituary. He is rising from the dead. Look at this. Hello, Trump's net approval rating among voters. This is the Reuters Ipsos polling. Look at this. In late April, he was 8 points underwater. But look at where he was in the most recent poll among voters. He's up 7 points to a -1 point net favorability rating. This is not the picture I think a lot of people were thinking that we would be painting in late April. I think a lot of people expected his approval rating to keep dropping, but at least according to Reuters Ipsos, it's in fact rising.
It's rising. Once again, Donald Trump with another comeback. You can't keep this guy down. And it's because the American people see exactly what's going on. He's putting America first, which is what we voted for him to do. He's putting America first in trade. He's putting America first with all of his messaging. And the American people are responding. CNN just shocked, stunned. Okay, let's dig into the numbers.
Put this then in a larger perspective, Harry.
Yeah, okay. So, this is just one poll, right? But let's take a look across an aggregate of polls. What are we seeing here? And I want to compare both to where Donald Trump is now versus where he was in late April, as well as where he was at this point in term number one. What you see is at -6 points, he is a little bit worse off than he is in the Ipsos Reuters polling, but he is considerably better than he was in late April when he was 9 points underwater. And more than that, look at this. He's nearly 10 points better than he was back in May 16th of 2017. And
so Donald Trump is more popular now than he's ever been. Insane. You can't keep this guy down.
His first term. So what we see is Donald Trump's not just doing better than he was doing in late April of 2025. He's doing considerably better than he was doing at this point in term number one, about 10 points better than he was doing at this point in term number one.
In a vacuum, -6 isn't good, but in Trumpian terms, against himself, it's actually a pretty good position for him to be in politically compared to himself.
Yeah, because we understand that the polling is flubbed and it's used to shape American opinion. Donald Trump is never going to get the benefit of the doubt on polling. Never. It's always going to be weighted against him. We understand that. Does anybody remember the Ann Seltzer Iowa poll that came out right before the election that showed Kamala Harris was going to win the thing? Yeah, we all do. So you have to take all of these low numbers with a grain of salt and understand that it's probably a bit better than what they're showing here. So Ipsos Reuters had Donald Trump down -1 as opposed to -6, I believe it was, in April, late April. When you do the aggregate polling, which means you compile all of the poll numbers together, Donald Trump is still up from where he was in late April. And when you compare it to his first term, he's massively ahead from where he was. This is a good sign.
Exactly right. This is considerably higher than he has traditionally been.
So the big question here is why, Harry? Why did it bottom out? Why might it be rising?
Because the Democrats are focused on illegal aliens and Donald Trump is focused on American citizens. I think it's pretty simple. I haven't heard the explanation from Harry Enten yet. But why is he doing so much better now? Because the Democrats spent about a month and a half crying on TV for an illegal alien gang member who beats his wife. Yep. And currently, we have Democrats all over the country, including right here in Nashville, our own esteemed mayor, Freddie O'Connell, going on TV saying we're heartbroken about these illegal alien gang members and child rapists being removed from our communities because it doesn't make us safer. Yet Donald Trump just says, no, they got to go. The American people understand that Donald Trump is making their communities safer, and they understand that he's putting American citizens first. I think that's why his numbers are going up. I think it's actually pretty self-explanatory. Let's hear from Harry Enten.
Okay, why? Well, take a look at the chance of a recession. It's actually falling. The chance of a recession is falling. In late April, it was 60% according to J.P. Morgan. Look at where it is now. It's less than 50%. How about Goldman Sachs? You see the same thing. 45%, now falling to 35%. The bottom line is, it is the economy. As the chance of a recession has fallen, as the trade wars have kind of collapsed a little bit, at least with China, Trump trying to make a deal, we do see that I do think that the voters are responding to this, and therefore we're seeing Trump's approval rating going up.
So Harry Enten says that it's going up because of the economy. The economy, again, that the Democrats spent a month and a half just completely belly aching over and whining and complaining, telling us that we were going to go into a recession. That never happened. Okay, that could be part of it too. I think that the real issue here is that the American people are waking up to the fact that the Democrats are just lying to them about every single issue. So that way they can besmirch Donald Trump. And then you wait a week or two and you realize, oh, Trump was right again. Oh, Trump put America first again. Oh, this is actually going to be beneficial. Yep. You see it time and time again. But Harry Enten says it's the economy. Let's talk about the Trump economy. We have massive amounts of investment coming in after that Middle East world tour, which has just been fantastic. And we're seeing jobs growing here at a ridiculous rate. There's all sorts of announcements for investment, whether it's AI and semiconductors or auto manufacturers. We understand the jobs that's going to bring, but the economy has been rocking because Donald Trump is putting America first, much to the chagrin of every single Democrat. Now, the next major step in that economy is the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, happening yesterday, Congressman Nathaniel Marin said today, Ways and Means GOP passed our portion of the One Big Beautiful Bill, taking a critical step to deliver on the promises Donald Trump and the House GOP made to the American people. Those promises: make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent, stopping the largest tax increase in U.S. history, support American workers, families, and small businesses, give tax relief to seniors and those who earn money from tips or overtime, and incentivize domestic manufacturing and prioritize American farmers. In this post from Rep. Marin, he said he has a graphic here, and it has a Politico headline on it. It says average income people would see double-digit percentage declines in their tax bills under House Republicans' tax package. Those making between $30,000 and $80,000 would pay around 15% less in taxes in 2027. National Economic Council advisor Kevin Hassett was talking about that one big, beautiful bill, and he says that he's confident it's going to pass the House. He's confident it's going to pass the Senate, and he even says at the tail end of this clip that if you look at the numbers and the way they're looking at the numbers, he thinks that this bill could actually pay for itself.
It's going to pass the House, it's going to pass the Senate, and it's going to create an economic boom unlike anything that we've ever seen. You know, the budget hawks are a little bit antsy about, oh, this costs too much. But the CBO score that they're basing all of that on is only 2.1% near-term growth and 1.8% growth in the long term. I'm highly confident, as we were in 2017, that you're going to get at least 3% growth. If we get 3% growth out of this bill, Larry, we just did the numbers you asked us to, it increases revenues over the next 10 years by more than $4 trillion. Wow. That is by more than the cost of this bill.
Wow. See,
this is a bill that pays for itself with 3% growth.
If we get to 3% growth, the bill will pay for itself. That's the Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett. I know what you can do with numbers, and I get that you can make them look how you want to make them look, and you can keep things rosy. I get that. But at this point, I just feel like we got to keep essentially trusting the plan. I understand we need to make some cuts. I understand that Congress needs to act. I understand we need to codify some of the DOJ stuff. Like, we need to codify a lot of Trump's executive orders. But the one big, beautiful bill, if Kevin Hassett is right and it pays for itself, that's a huge win for the American people. Also a huge win for the American people is Trump and the securing of just trillions of dollars in investments. And he's been doing so over the past week, over the past 100 plus something days. This man's been a machine when it comes to investment in America. We had our Secretary of Labor, Secretary Lori Chavez, and she was on Fox Business talking about this. Chavez DeRemer is her name, excuse me. And she's the Labor Secretary, and she said, guys, the investment that's coming in, unbelievable.
It's no surprise to many Americans that the president is delivering on the promise that he made on the campaign trail. And now just over 100 days in office, and we're seeing the next 100 days deliver on those promises. And as Labor Secretary, my job is to get around and talk to the American men and women of this country who are building this country. And that is inclusive of construction jobs, manufacturing jobs. So I've kicked off my 50-state tour, America at Work, and I've been to 8 states. And what we're hearing on the ground is the excitement. While many want to be negative about what the president is doing, the conversations that he is having with these companies that you mentioned at the top of this segment is the investments back into not only the American companies and manufacturing, but the workforce in itself. You know, I was just in Columbus, Ohio with Anheuser-Busch. They're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into a center of excellence in training. If we're talking about McDonald's, 375,000 new jobs. What does that mean to the blue-collar boom, as was mentioned? These are historic. They are feeding the golden age. And while, you know, people want to be negative, I'm so excited to get around to parts of the country. I was talking to electrical workers. This is more growth for the economy, and more of the American men and women can keep more of their hard-earned dollars. So that is only going to be that boom to the blue-collar worker.
Amen. I like the idea of keeping more of my money. I know you do as well. That is what Donald Trump is making the goal of his administration. I hope that we get everything we want in this big, beautiful bill, and I hope that there's a lot less pork than what we need. A lot more to cover here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got an update on the recommendation of COVID vaccines, especially when it comes to kids and pregnant women. We'll talk about that after the break. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock Store. Got a couple dates that you need to put in your calendar to remember to go to the Glock Store. The first is the 22nd. That's when I'm going to be doing my entire show out at the Glock Store live. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I want to see you out there. The second is Saturday, May 31st. See, that's the day that you really need to circle a few times on your calendar. That's the 5th annual open house for Glock Store. They do the open house every year. They throw open the doors, they roll out the red carpet, and they have a full day of raffles, deals, and full auto fun. This party is going to be a banger. This year, the raffles are going to be nonstop all day long. Custom Glock handgun giveaways, premium gear, you name it, you could win it. And even if you don't win a raffle, you're still winning because the deals that you need are going to be at the Glock Store on Saturday, May 31st. Ammo? Of course you need ammo. Well, check out the Burrow Bullets Blowout. 1,000-round tac packs of 9mm and 223 packed in custom ammo boxes. You won't believe the prices. That's just the tip of the iceberg on the deals. Some people, they look at Memorial Day weekend, they think, oh, I'm going to buy a fridge. I'm going to buy a dishwasher and save some money. No, don't do that. Buy a Glock at the Glock Store. Saturday, May 31st, 5th annual open house. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere at the one and only Glock Store.
Looks like the GOP mega bill has failed in the House Budget Committee in our nation's capital. We're going to break down the severe weather threat, then have an update on the James Comey 8647 story at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wait, it failed?
It failed.
Kevin Hassett said he was confident it would get through. All right, well, there's that. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Ken Weaver's in the newsroom. Mason Fleming is producing. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. You're training somebody back there, aren't you?
I am.
Who are you training?
This is Louie back here.
Louie, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good, man. How you feeling?
I'm good. All right, Louie, as an initiation ritual into the Chris Hand Show, we need to know what's a conspiracy theory that you believe in? Oh, come on, man. You got to have a good one. They put the slices back into a full pizza at Chuck E. Cheese. That's a good one. Birds aren't real.
He's in the middle of training, man.
Well, I feel like everybody has a conspiracy theory they believe in.
Going on. That's the on-spot question. Believe in.
So I think the answer is he believes in all of them, and there's too many to choose from.
Yeah, too much of a good option.
Well, we got a good one back there then. This is the right show for you, pal. Welcome. So the other day, Charlie Kirk had Dr. Marty McCary on his show, and he asked him about the COVID vaccines and the COVID vaccines being recommended for women, pregnant women, and children. And Dr. Marty McCary responded with this.
I'd love to see the evidence to show that giving young, healthy children another COVID shot, a sixth COVID booster would help them, but that evidence does not exist. And so we're not just going to rubber stamp things at the FDA, and I don't think you're going to see a push at the CDC to be pushing COVID shots in young, healthy children. That is something that's being discussed right now. I think you're going to see some announcement on that in the coming weeks. But I know they are trying to review all of the scientific data. And guess what? There's no data. There's no good randomized control data that the current version, the latest formulation of the COVID shot, is necessary for young, healthy children. Other countries have already recommended against it. Other leading countries in Europe have recommended against it for young, healthy children. So I think you're going to see a look at this, and you're going to hear something forthcoming.
So that was just a few days ago, Dr. Marty McCary, who's the head of the FDA now, on the Charlie Kirk show. And late last night, we heard that HHS will stop recommending COVID-19 shots for children, teenagers, and pregnant women under the leadership of RFK Jr. That is according to the Wall Street Journal. And for that, we say, guys, thank you. It's about damn time. Personally, I would like them pulled all together. That's just me. And I think maybe the writing is still on the wall for that. I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks back, that there was a random vaccine for chikungunya disease. Do you remember that? Chikungunya? It's a chikungunya disease.
Chikungunya.
It's chikungunya, and they had a vaccine out for it. And they administered something like 80,000 doses, and there were 17 deaths. And they said, whoa, pump the brakes. We can't have that. And they pulled it off the market. Now, a lot of people were upset. And they said, why aren't you doing the same kind of stuff with the COVID shot? Because everybody understands the adverse reactions that have been there. And I think you could make the argument that the deaths would be far higher than 17. Again, I'm not a doctor, but you can find the studies out there and do your own research. I suggest that you do. So why pull this vaccine and not the COVID vaccine? I think that what they're doing is laying the groundwork. And I think that you pull that last vaccine and then, there's no uproar. Nobody really knows about it. Then you stop recommending the COVID vaccine for kids, teenagers, pregnant women. And then I think that the next move in this process would be to pull the COVID vaccine completely. It doesn't work. It doesn't stop people from getting it. It doesn't stop people from spreading it. So really all you're looking at is risk. There's no reward portion anymore. You do your own risk-reward analysis. That's what we said in the beginning, right? Listen, if you're overweight, you're elderly, I understand why you might feel the need to get the COVID vaccine, and I'm not going to knock you for it. But do your own risk-reward analysis. I think at this point, we can look at the COVID vaccine and understand that the reward, it's not there. The risk is, though. So I predict that at some point, we're going to see that COVID vaccine pulled completely. And when there's an uproar in the media, which there most certainly will, they'll be able to point to the last vaccine they pulled for chikungunya disease and be like, why weren't you guys upset about that?
Sounds like soup.
It does sound like soup. Good soup. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are under the gun for severe weather until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So between now and then, we could see severe storms that could produce damaging winds and isolated tornadoes. Cannot rule it out. Everyone in Middle Tennessee is under a level 3 out of 5 risk. It is higher if you are along and north of I-40, and that includes downtown Nashville. That's a level 4 out of 5 risk. We got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. I can tell you first responders from Wisconsin to Illinois are surveying damage from a series of storms yesterday that brought heavy rain and tornadoes. Shredded homes, roofs were ripped right off, power lines down, littering roads, firemen searching for anyone who may be trapped.
Mayhem in the town of Mayville. Damage to the power grid is so extensive, the power could be out for days.
The lights started flickering and the power cut out.
The mayor declaring a state of emergency. In Chicago, fans attending Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter concert at Soldier Field were evacuated, running for cover as storms pounded the area, water rushing downstairs.
That's Alex Perez reporting. Right now in our nation's capital, that big, beautiful Bill Act failed in the House Budget Committee this morning. Still solid opposition among the fiscal hawks of the GOP. An update on the James Comey story. The Gateway pundit reporting the former FBI director has now deleted his Instagram account. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem launching an investigation after Comey posted the now infamous 8647 seashell photo that's seen as a threat to the life of President Trump. Comey erased the post after generating alarm across the internet. No real progress made today between Ukraine and Russia as both sides were in Turkey for talks on how to end the war. And you may notice a big police presence along the Cumberland River today. Don't panic, that's a training mission taking place. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? Oh, sorry. I thought that soft music going out was done. Didn't you? It sounded like it was over.
It did sound like it was over a little bit.
So, I was just trying to not have any dead air and keep the light tight and bright. You know what I mean?
That's radio. That's number one in radio. No dead air.
I apologize to Erie Insurance. Please forgive me. When it comes to home repairs, especially waterproofing, it's pretty easy to ignore the warning signs, but you shouldn't. You should call USS. We got more rain heading this way, and if you've been ignoring those warning signs, that small problem is not going to stay small forever, and it's going to lead to some devastating results for your home if you continue to ignore it. We're talking about mold in your basement when you let that water hang out. We're talking about wood rot. We're talking about foundation issues. You don't want that. You want to talk to the pros. You want to talk to USS. They have helped over 30,000 homeowners across Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. And these guys are not about sales pressure. They're going to send an expert to your house, not a sales guy. They're going to send somebody who's worried about what's happening in your crawl space, not somebody who's worried about what's happening with their quota. That's the first difference. The second difference is they're going to stand by their work. Whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, they're going to leave you with warranties that will last for life. They've been doing it, and even if you leave the home, the warranty can stay. Locally owned, 30 years in the game. If you see the signs, don't wait. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com. 11:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in the FM dial, and you can watch us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Do me a favor, go over to YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, and then hit the share button and share the show with a friend. I got like 4 kids to feed, so any help would be grateful. It's free to do. Hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate it. All right, so the big, beautiful budget bill has failed 16-21 in the House Budget Committee. 5 Republicans voted against it. You ready? Reps Chip Roy out of Texas, Josh Brashear out of Oklahoma, Andrew Clyde out of Georgia, Ralph Norman out of South Carolina, and Lloyd Smucker out of Pennsylvania. They said that they voted against it for lack of spending cuts. Lloyd Smucker, he posted a tweet a little while ago, about 20 minutes ago. He said, "To be clear, I fully support the One Big Beautiful Bill. My vote today in the Budget Committee is a procedural requirement to preserve the committee's opportunity to reconsider the motion to advance the One Big Beautiful Bill." So they're going to take this back to the woodshed. They're going to figure out some more cuts, and then they're going to do it again. Not the end. It hasn't been 86th, if you will. They're just going to go back, and they're going to work on it a little bit more. We'll see what happens. The big story of today is the seashell death threat. And this is such a 2025 thing. The former FBI director sent a death threat via seashell on social media. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why he would do this. Other than to gin up some controversy and some excitement because he's got a new book coming out. Well, congratulations, you nailed it. And I hope that they throw the book at you and you find yourself in prison for 5 years because, you threaten to assassinate the sitting president. That's what the penalty could be, up to 5 years in prison. And I hope that James Comey sits on that concrete bench for every single day of that 5-year term. So James Comey pled ignorance. He said, I didn't know what 86 meant. I had no idea. I had no idea. The guy who's worked to prosecute mob members and absolutely knows him, he has no idea. Pled ignorance. Deleted the post, posted an apology, and then he has since deleted his entire Instagram account. If you're watching us on Super Talk TV, you'll see the wonderful death threat via seashell that James Comey posted on Instagram, 8647. You also see a comment from Donald Trump Jr. who said, "Just James Comey casually calling for my dad to be murdered." This is who the Dem media worships. Demented. It is demented. Donald Trump was asked about the seashell death threat, which I think that's what we have to refer to it from now on as, the seashell death threat. Earlier today, Donald Trump sat down with Brett Baer. And something interesting in this interview, right in the middle, it does seem like Brett Baer is playing both sides of the fence and trying to cover for Comey in the middle of this. This is Donald Trump reacting to the seashell death threat.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country's become respected again.
Fact check, true.
And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he wasn't calling for violence. But
obviously, he apologized and wasn't calling for violence, says Brett Baer. What are you talking about? I mean, listen, do I think James Comey himself is going to go out and assassinate the president? No, I don't think he's that dumb. But I think he's smart enough to understand that the lunatic leftists that follow him will see that post and decide maybe it's my turn to become somebody. Maybe I can be a hero to the left. Maybe I can go out as a martyr. These people are insane. Brett Baer should be ashamed of himself. Oh, James Comey apologized, and obviously he wasn't calling for violence. What was he calling for then, Brett? What was he calling for? He knew exactly what he was doing. And Donald Trump didn't buy that either.
Look, he's a very bad...
What do you want to see happen?
What do you want to see happen? I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and all of the great people. But I will say this, I think it's a terrible thing. And when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop.
Yep.
He's a dirty cop.
Yep.
And if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency. But I'm going to let them make that decision.
Which is smart. Let's be perfectly honest. You don't want the Democrats to have any fodder where they can say, Donald Trump put his thumb on the scale. Donald Trump is influencing the Department of Justice. Donald Trump is blah, 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 blah. You don't want that. I'll let them make their own assessment of the situation and decide what to do. Now, the former FBI director said he had no idea that 86 men assassinate. What? That's news to James Comey. 8 miles out of town, 6 feet underground, doesn't understand what 86 means. Got it. Okay. The current FBI director, Patel, knows exactly what it means. And he posted a tweet to X last night, and he said, we are aware of the recent social media post by former FBI director James Comey, directed at President Trump. We're in communication with the Secret Service and Director Curran. Primary jurisdiction is with Secret Service on these matters, and we, the FBI, will provide all the necessary support. Kristi Noem also weighed in. Kristi Noem, not taking this lightly, disgraced and former FBI Director James Comey just called for the assassination of POTUS Trump. DHS and Secret Service is investigating this threat and will respond appropriately. Well, I hope they do. I think the appropriate response is an arrest. Tulsi Gabbard also seems to think that the appropriate response would be an arrest. This is Tulsi Gabbard talking about 8647 last night with Jesse Waters.
Like him, who issued direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do.
Oh, based. Thank you, Tulsi, for saying what we're all thinking and not, pulling your punches. Appreciate that, truly. Tulsi Gabbard, do you think that James Comey should be in jail? I do.
Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard. James Comey should be held accountable and put behind bars for this. You're damn right he should. He knew exactly what he was doing. He deleted the post, he sent out an apology, and then he deleted his entire Instagram account. He posted a seashell death threat to the current president of the United States. They should throw the entire book at this guy. What an idiot. What an absolute idiot. He knew exactly what he was doing. Tulsi Gabbard had a bit more to say with Jesse Waters last night, saying, listen, this is insane.
Jesse, that is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States. So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for, the dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated.
Again, that's the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. The dangerousness of this cannot be underestimated. James Comey deserves to be behind bars. He deserves to be held accountable, and he should be arrested. And I hope that we see that arrest today. And I hope that it's public and maybe, just maybe, comes with a bit of a 5 a.m. raid. That'd be nice. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 11:52, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to us by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Chad Benson is in studio. Ken Weaver is in the newsroom. Mason Fleming producing. Ken, what is the latest on the storms that we got heading this way?
Anytime between now and 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, any storm that pops up has the potential to go severe, and in that includes all the things, even an isolated tornado.
Okay.
Now, that's still low on the scale of things, but you can't rule it out today.
And then for tomorrow, what are we looking at?
Well, tomorrow after 7 o'clock, it looks like we could dry out tomorrow. Things are going to mellow out quite a bit after 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All right, that's good news. My buddy is throwing a fundraiser at Hop Springs for Alzheimer's, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing a big concert. It starts at 7 at Hop Springs. You should definitely go. But I was hoping it wouldn't get rained out on them.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night, I think you're good, Brother Chris.
All right. So, yeah, that's where I'll be.
Nice.
It's benefiting Alzheimer's, Tennessee. So we're going to go out there and hang out for a little bit.
Cool. Who's going to be there? Concert?
They do an 80s rock cover band.
Oh, cool.
I haven't seen them yet, so I'm pretty jazzed. But it's a couple friends that run Burrow Holistic Health. Their cousin, I believe, is in the band. So they invited me. I was like,
You're going to rock it out.
I'll go support. Heck
80s
yeah.
style.
Yeah. I was like, we're having trouble finding a babysitter. So I was like, either my date is going to be Virginia or it's going to be my 11-year-old. Either way, I'm showing up with a pretty girl.
That's right. That's
fun,
right.
man.
Yeah, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. What are you doing this weekend? Anything crazy?
Nothing.
Gymnastics, is that on the
gymnastics. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to go with our buddy Keith, who owns Contours. We're going to go watch Vanderbilt play baseball.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I don't know what else I'm doing. I'm just going to relax, Hopefully tonight we don't get a bunch of storms.
All right.
That's a goal.
That's the goal.
That is the goal.
What is your plan to keep the storms away? Have you done any
nap?
You're just going to nap through it?
I'm going to dance around without a shirt.
That's it. Nope, just napping. That's it. I think the best thing to do is to ignore it. I'm going to go ostrich.
What news stories you paying attention to today, Chad?
Oh, the big, beautiful bill isn't very big, and it's not very well. It's very big, and it's not very beautiful. By the way, promises made, no promises kept. What's up with it's 11? Chris, it was 400 pages yesterday. It's now 1,100 plus pages.
Yeah, they got to cut it down. One of the guys that voted against it said that he only voted against it as a procedural.
Yeah, because he wants to be able to re-vote on it at some other point in time.
Yes,
but I would vote against all that. They're going to raise the debt ceiling. By the way, it's if this thing went to the Senate, it's beyond debt on arrival.
Kevin Hassett said that if you get growth to 3% with what they were looking at, that the bill would pay for itself.
Yeah, they all say what it's going to do, but rarely does it ever do. Have you noticed that? It's like it was when they revised stuff. Hey, remember last time we said we created 212 jobs? 212,000? Yeah, we created 4 jobs.
Yeah. That seemed to be more of a Biden administration thing than a Trump administration thing.
There's never anything like, hey, we thought we created 110,000. We created 1 million. It's the same thing. We went through it, and if the numbers work out right, this thing's going to pay for itself. It's the government. Numbers never work out right.
Yeah, we got to do something more.
It's just and they want to raise the debt ceiling so much.
It's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
It is, and there's some. I keep saying this: go after Medicaid and watch what happens.
Yeah, but who's saying that they're going after Medicaid? It's only the Democrats.
There's Republicans out there going, I'm looking at this. You're saying if it's work, that's fine, but it's not work.
Well, RFK, though, during his thing with his committee hearing with HHS, he said, we're consolidating offices. So instead of 27 HIV offices, we'll have 23.
Yeah, they have so many they have so many also agencies that overlap.
But my point is, I think that you could do a lot of cuts in Medicaid.
Well,
that would be like that.
As long as you don't cut services,
that's the big
fine.
thing. But the Democrats are always going to frame it as you've cut X amount of dollars from Medicaid. It's like, no. We consolidated these offices and we're saving this.
But there's stuff in there that it is, and optics end up being votes. And you've got to, well, first and foremost, we don't even know what it's going to look like because it was 400 pages yesterday, and somehow magically overnight it became 1,100 pages. By the time it gets out of the whatever committee it goes to next, then it gets up to the Senate, we don't even know what it's going to look like then because the Senate's already said it's dead on arrival.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they've got. They better figure something out because I don't see any massive cuts in there. I see you're raising the debt ceiling, which is not a good thing. What, $5 trillion over 2 years?
Yep.
And you're hoping it's like one of those things. Like, look, if we hit the ball over here and then it hits this, it goes up there, hits the light, spins around, bounces 4 times, then jumps over here, knocks this thing over. It's like we're going to be fine. It's like a 1 in a million that they're going to pay for himself. And I'm kind of frustrated because I thought there was going to be some serious cuts, and I don't see a lot of that.
No, we need serious cuts.
Yeah, we need serious cuts, and we need to put money, the good money in the good places. Bad money, we need to reallocate it for things that actually work, and then we need to really seriously have some cuts. And the weird thing is, you've got people on the uber-conservative fiscal side who want no part of this, and more of the moderates who look and say, there's a lot of stuff in here that's not only fat, but it's also going after certain things that we know is going to cost us in the midterm. So
those are all the slimy people in the middle. You know what I mean? That are adding all this stuff.
So, and there's so much crap in there. Like the AI thing is scary. What they want to do with some of the way that they want to go after it, and I'm like, this is. And how much? Again, everybody wants theirs. Like, oh well, you know what? If you're going to do that, let's just put this in. It's like when your buddy's ordering it. You know what? I'm going to pay for everything, guys. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll take a double cheeseburger and give me a shake too. You know, it's like throw that in there. And that's my frustration. I thought there's going to be a ton of stuff. There's not a ton of cuts. And they're raising stuff, and that isn't a good look.
No. But if the economy goes the right way, then we're still going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, of course. But we're hoping the if scenario.
Yeah, but it does seem like we're going in a good way. The recession fears have somewhat cooled.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The fear mongering around it. We still haven't seen the country at full strength from all these investments we're getting and all these jobs that are going to be added.
Yeah, well, that's going to those are years in the making. We're not going to feel that immediacy. But I will say this. I mean, I love all that stuff, but we can do all of that. But the hopes of if everything goes perfect, if the government doesn't overspend somewhere else, and because both sides agree on one thing, they love spending our money.
That's true. Can't argue with that. Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.